The fifth industrial revolution is coming. Some are saying it's already here. Many of us are still confused about what AI even is and how it will affect us, our jobs, and our way of life. This short series is meant to demystify AI and separate the hype from the facts. Join two AI founders from opposite sides of the world, Nick from California and Maurice from the Netherlands, to get some answers. Enjoy the episode. Oh, and by the way, in case you didn't notice, I'm an AI voice. Let's join Maurice and Nick now.
OpenAI GPT-4o now supports image generation, and it's really good. So you just give it a description, you can attach a reference photo, and then ask it to do whatever you want to do. And one of the things that went viral is this Studio Ghibli like animation style that basically everyone decided was really cool. So they gave it a photo of themselves and then asked for O Mini or for O to generate Studio Ghibli style images of that photo, and then everyone was sharing it and it sort of blew up. And then it opened up the debate around copyright issues, like this guy, the creator of Studio Ghibli, he's sort of like anti-AI, and now everyone's copying his style. And yeah, anyway, it was a big thing.
My brain goes to like two different places. The first one is I love how like entertaining and how fun and how creative people can get with these things. And then the other place my brain goes, and I've kind of thought about this for a little while, is once these videos and image content get so real that you can't tell the difference, does the world have to build in this like verification mechanism? Like, how am I going to be able to know if some really crazy video happened in real life or it was AI generated? And so sometimes I think of like, what does the technology layer, to nerd out a little bit, or like what's going to have to be built, or like what protocols? I don't even know like what news sites might come up to then help people discern between this AI video and non-AI video, real stuff.
One of the hosts of this TED event was interviewing Sam Altman, actually. He was there in person on the stage. And they talked about this for a little while, like also about the copyright thing, but also about the authenticity thing. Like, how are you going to be able to discern what is real? And they showed a couple of demos from Sora, like just, some videos, some AI generated videos from Sora. And they're unreal. Like, they're short because it just takes so much compute to actually make a full video, but they're getting better and better. And it's just, you don't even know anymore that you're looking at AI. It's just like so realistic, or it looks like, some Hollywood studio filmed it, and it's just all generated within like just one prompt, and you wait for 5 minutes and you get like a minute video that's just studio quality, insane. It's really cool.
So I was actually on a podcast last week. The host was actually talking about how he's afraid of flying, and like if it's a smooth flight, he's good, but the second turbulence starts happening, he's like, oh, the plane's going down. It's not making it through this. And I was sitting there thinking, why do I not freak out when I'm flying? And I've been in planes with turbulence and you see the wings bounce. I'd go into my engineering brain and my engineering background and be like, I know when we would do engineering problems, we'd have to design things for like 3x. It's a safety factor. 3x any normal stress you'd see on a flight. It's designed for 3 times to be able to withstand 3 times more than that. I try to flip that to AI. Not everyone needs to know exactly how a transformer works, but maybe knowing a little bit about how these AI models work, specifically these large language models, maybe helps people feel less afraid because they know what's going on.
Shall we go there and see if we can explain this in a very non-technical way?
Yeah, you want to hit it first and I'll add some color?
Sure. So on the surface, a large language model, something that we typically call AI these days, predicts the next word, right? So you give it some text and it's going to reply to your text by assigning probabilities to a huge Excel sheet, essentially, with words, and all of those words get a probability. The word with the highest probability is the one that it's going to select first. And then it does the same thing again. So now for the second word, it's going to find the highest probability for some word that should come after that. And it keeps repeating it until it's forming some sort of like logical sentence or a paragraph or some piece of text or images or video. But what do you think?
I think that's a good way to describe it. The probability piece, you can also call it a guess. These models aren't thinking like we imagine humans to think, and they're not smarter than humans. They're really just picking the best guess of the next word based on all the other words that they have in their training. And it's mostly just words from the internet, words from books. That's kind of how these are trained to think about language. For me, knowing that removes a whole lot of fear of super intelligence AI, because it's just not there yet. And it might get there, and then we can have another talk on how it works. And sometimes they guess the wrong word. The models we use incorporate fine tuning, and that's a way of allowing it to guess and then saying, no, guess more like this. This is actually a little bit better, just like guiding it in different directions. They can do really amazing things, but they're not super genius, scary AI at this stage.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's interesting because, as you mentioned, like a lot of these models are trained on data from the internet and books. That also is immediately a limitation on what the model is capable of doing, because it's only sort of able to repeat what is already out there. We're saying they're getting better, but what that really means is just they can predict the next word better than the previous version of that model. LLMs are sort of like limited to all of this textual content or image content. And it's a lot, like it's a crazy amount of data. It's 2D in a sense. I'm not sure if 2D is the right wording here, but
No, I actually like 2D, because now, right when you said that, I started thinking, I'm almost going to botch this. We have 5 senses as humans. It took me a second. But when you're thinking 2D, so again, back to LLMs being predictive models. Say, I want to eat a book, that sentence. In a 2D model, it's easier for that sentence to make sense to one of these large language models, eat a book, because it's just comparing eat and book, really. And like, how often do those sit next to each other? That's kind of what it's thinking about. As humans, when you're looking at it, you know the feeling of a book, you know the smell of a book, and you've probably rarely seen a human put a book in their mouth. So, point being, we can then take eat a book and you run it through all the context that you have from those senses. And then it's less likely that you'd ever think that that's a normal sentence. And then your brain would go, did he actually say eat a book? Did he mean something else? It goes down another pathway, knowing that, again, it kind of is a probability machine of different context clues to make sense of what's going on. So to your point, maybe that is where the technology needs to go. More dimensions they can get processed on. I don't know if you throw a little robot into the world and it's got eyes and a mouth and can engage with things, but then it starts to almost store that information on its own as it's gathering it, puts it in different boxes itself, akin to like newborns do as they learn and go through the world. And would it take that long? Can you send 100 out and kind of shrink the time it takes for them to learn? And that kind of is how like machine learning works in different video games and things. But learning from the ground up versus like trying to jam it with a bunch of information at the beginning.
yeah, that's very interesting. I was just wondering if you send 100 of those robots out in the world and they sort of learn and adapt to the world, the big advantage that they would have is, of course, that they're all connected, right? Like they have a sort of connected, well, not quite consciousness, a connected intelligence, I suppose. So as soon as one robot learns one thing, then all of the robots would know it. It's a very interesting limitation of the human brain, I suppose.
Yeah, really interesting, because you could run them through the same, or they could all experience the same things, like ordering food at a restaurant. One robot might, try and be mean to the waiter, and then 2 or 3 might try and be nice, or even, 50-50. And then they can take that data and they say, oh, I get more food, I get an extra dessert, I get these things if I'm nice to the waiter, or I lose certain things if I'm mean to the waiter, as a crude example. But it would take me going to the restaurant and trying these things over and over again, a single human, to learn this and internalize it a lot longer versus just having kind of that experiment play out. I'm not saying you should experiment on all the time on humans, but to your point,
These guys know the benefits me and my AI cousins bring to humankind. Join Maurice and Nick every 2 weeks as they join forces to demystify AI for the rest of us. Follow them both on LinkedIn in between episodes to keep up with their insights. Links in the comments and the description. See you next time.